So without further ado now, a little bit on the background of the Center for Irish German Studies, our aims, members, highlights, and I can promise I'll keep it short. So our main aim of the center is to encourage and support research dealing with all aspects of Irish-German relations. So something that should be kept in mind is that German doesn't mean Germany, but German-speaking countries. So we're really interested in all kinds of connections with Austria, with Switzerland, Germany, Liechtenstein at times as well, but we haven't had that many activities on Liechtenstein yet. So we want to encourage and support any kind of activities in terms of research, in terms of discussion, and in terms of also creating a material base for research and overall increase the knowledge of all kinds of connections between Ireland and the German-speaking countries and cultures, particularly within the region, but overall on a national look as well. So we have some brochures that Natasha very kindly will hand out, and this is where we'll also have it on the internet. So if you go to our website, you can see it there as well. That was created on the first 25 years, which we reached in 2022. So ergo it follows that we were founded in 1997, and the foundation was a joint venture of my colleague Joachim Fischer and myself. And we started the center with a conference, our first conference in Irish-German Studies in September. And since then, so it was a slightly mad idea, I would say, of 2, at this stage, assistant lecturers, and it has grown ever since. And I'm going to focus a little bit on what we're going to do next. First of all, it has grown. It's not only Joachim who is fortunately still involved, to some extent. I mean, he is retired now, but and he has, and of course, taken on the Center for European Studies then later on. So he was somewhat diverted in his attention sometime. But we have 30 members here in UL, in Mary I, and also in the UK, in Germany, and in Italy. So we have also an advisory board, and this is what I mean in terms of the German-speaking countries. Our members on the advisory board include the Austrian ambassador to Ireland, the Swiss ambassador to Ireland, the German ambassador to Ireland, the Goethe Institute director, and 3 former Irish ambassadors, one current and 2 former Irish ambassadors to Germany. There is a question whether we should take on former or current ambassadors to Austria and Switzerland, but there's also a size question, and so far we have good relations with them as well. But and then Professor Emer O'Sullivan, who was also extern of our MA in Irish-German Studies, and Dr. Beate Schuler, who has mostly links, I have to admit, to Trinity College Dublin, but fortunately she has some interest in us as well and has been supporting our work for a while now. So in terms of highlights, we have established an MA in Irish-German Studies, which was at the time quite unique because it was 1 semester here at the University of Limerick and then 1 semester at universities partnered with us via Erasmus exchanges. There was Berlin, Lüneburg, Jena, and Vienna. And we have then students from their universities coming in that made it very easy in terms of administration. It was very successful in terms of quality, but in terms of quantity, I should say we didn't have more than the 10 required students for an MA. So while we were singled out for prizes from the Irish-German Chamber of Commerce, and while our students have gone on to do PhDs or work in the EU or wherever, and had a fantastic always very positive reviews, it is currently not offered. So maybe we can look at that again at some stage. It is resource friendly due to its nature of being only 1 semester here, but there are overall concerns of the universities of having minimum numbers of masters. So it is a special area, one should admit. We have had 20 international conferences, mostly here in UL, 1 in Dublin, 1 in Berlin. The 21st conference is coming up in this year in November. We have also had 3 international conferences with the University of Ulster in the last 3 years. The 4th one is coming up also in November, 2 weeks after our conference here, which is focusing on the whole aspect of Ireland, Northern Ireland, the UK, Europe, specifically Germany. And these conferences, some of you I think have taken part in them, have been quite successful in terms of bringing players from all sides together. At the last Belfast conference, we had politicians from all political parties there, and the advantage that we have as a Center for Irish German Studies is that we are a bit outside. We are, in a way, not engaged officially one way or another. We really try to engage with everyone, and that has paid off. Last November here, we had Bertie Ahern here talking about the Good Friday Agreement. We have the former Department of Foreign Affairs Minister Charlie Flanagan already signed up for the coming semester, conference in Belfast. So I think, and a good number of the politicians, again, we'll see where we're going. We are currently establishing the program, but I think that is one area that I feel quite passionate myself, because before coming here more than 28 years ago, I lived a year and taught in Belfast in 4 schools, 2 Catholic, 2 Protestant, and for me that was a very important time. So I'm still very interested in that overall theme of possibly reconciliation, or anyway, a way into the future. Of course, publications, PhD students, all of that is an important part of it as well. We have apart from publications, on different areas, we also have our own series. This is volume number 16, came out the end of last year, on the history of German studies in Ireland. And I'm sure you'll all know that German studies in the world at 3rd level started in Ireland. Not in UL, I have to say, but in Trinity College in 1776, which means in the year 2026 we can celebrate 250 years of German at 3rd level. And Ireland was the first in the world, so that's something we should celebrate. And I do think that German studies here are particularly important. So, of course, other languages as well, because it's a very inclusive thing. So looking at the history is quite an interesting thing. We're also doing lectures, readings. We have the Limericker Literaturgespräche. We have 3 authors who came in the spring. We had also the Irish-German Business Lecture Series as an ongoing thing. We had representatives or CEOs of Lidl, Allianz, and SAP here. The president of the Irish-German Chamber of Commerce was also here all in the spring. We have poetry project together with colleagues in Irish at Donnerstag, first poem and translation, Irish translation into German, German poems into translation into Irish for the last time, and summer schools. And then, of course, we have our beautiful library holdings. And what you see here is actually a historic photo, which is quite appropriate because it's in a special collection. On the left-hand side, all the books you see there in the shelves are donated by Jürgen Gottschalk. It is probably the largest holding of German material on Ireland ever. And it was donated in 2019 by Jürgen Gottschalk. And the boxes in front of it are actually the Glaser collection, donated by Otto Glaser, or to be precise, by his family after he passed away. They are currently in the old special collection in the shelves there. So we have a really quite impressive collection of material, including the first edition of the translation of James Joyce's Ulysses. It was first translated into German before any other language. So we have real treasures in that, and it's a wonderful resource base for research, and we hope to be able to launch it this autumn after it's being catalogued and digitized. I think it's almost complete, the Gottschalk collection, so we'll do that at our mid-November conference taking place here. More on that. So it's a really nice and very good collaboration with the library, I want to point out as well, because it's been really lovely to work together and to build that up. We've had a number of prominent visitors. It has to be said that the first visit of a German president and I don't think I'm totally big-headed here, but I'm actually 100% sure wouldn't have happened without the Center for Irish German Studies. So he came in 2021, and there were some lovely comments then for our 25th anniversary that we're making an important contribution, and he praised our master's program, which is lovely to see, and mentioned that he saw it all for himself. He is a great fan of Heinrich Böll, so it was nice to be able to show him the first edition and other books in our collection. We also had some lovely endorsement from the Irish president who came with him, and indicating that the reputation of the university was certainly enhanced, I would think, has been enhanced by our center. And I think it's really good to have built up over the time, thanks to all the members, a very good linkage into all kinds of areas. And before I go on the collaboration, I just wanted to say this might be reflected also in the visitors we're going to have in the next 5 weeks. Next week we have the Siemens leadership team coming here because we are discussing Siemens 100 years Ardna Crusher in 2025. As you know, Ardna Crusher, the building in Ardna Crusher of the Shannon scheme of the hydroelectric water power station was started in 1925, finished in 1929. So we are looking at doing something jointly there. We are in discussion with the Limerick Museum about the exhibition about Krups, a German employer who was very important in Limerick for several decades, and there will be an exhibition in September 2024. We're currently working on a DRD-sponsored project which includes history and particularly a resource, virtual resource base for materials on learning German. So if you want to learn German, or maybe your children want to learn German and just haven't quite found the right course, have a look at resources for German, resources for German, and you'll find quite a lot of materials. It's for teachers, for learners, and it's a joint project with the National German Studies Association in Ireland, but we are leading it, and Natasha is actually doing a lot of the work of that. So you'll find her on that as well. The conference I mentioned in Ulster is 28th to the 29th, so if anyone wants to join, you can still kind of make that note in your diary. We are also involved in events around these 250 years of modern languages at third level, because there were actually 4 languages established in Trinity College in 1776. Spanish and Italian didn't quite make it long term for a while. They were re-established in the 20th century, but French and German did. And we had an event last November with the Taoiseach Micheál Martin in the Royal Irish Academy. And this year it's Belfast, and then next year it will be here in Limerick. And then in 2026 it has to be in Trinity, because that's where it started then 250 years ago. So the key thing I would like to point out is about who can collaborate, because we're really keen on collaborating with anyone. Anything in Irish-German relations, principally really interested, and we have, I think, a fairly good track record of actually getting things done. And I would very much welcome questions, or indeed any expressions of, yes, let's do this, and we can do it. Thanks very much.
Thanks, Gisela. It's really interesting. Is there any questions? I can come with the microphone if you have any questions. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Very interesting to see all the breadth of activities. I was curious, the advisory board that you have, it's such an impressive listing. How do you find getting such high-profile people in terms of their ability to engage? Is this a challenge, or is it something that's up and down depending on what's going on?
I think the up and down, depending on what's going on, is quite an appropriate statement. I think for some activities, people get involved and might all come here. We've only really had one meeting of everyone here at the same time, but it's just really difficult to get everyone together. And the funny thing is that we have had a really good track record of getting people here. I have had comments of people in Trinity and UCD saying, yeah, if we want to meet the German ambassador, we have to come to Limerick. I appreciate that. I think that's nice. But at the same time, and the Irish ambassador to Berlin has been here 3 times, the current one alone. So, I mean, we've had that, but at the same time, then to get the Swiss and the Austrian ones at the same time, everyone together. So we had, for example, last year, no, 2022, we had a day of Austrian music, culture, and Austrian-Irish relations. Of course, then the Austrian ambassador comes down and the others don't come down. So it depends very much on what we're doing.